stabbed at Kabuchai and rushed to Chwele Sub-County Hospital after allegations of voter rigging. We will be bringing you that update once we get those pictures. All right, let's go on with our conversation. And of course, we have Member of Parliament for Kibra, Peter Orero, and of course, Executive Director for County Governance Watch, Kevin Osido, and of course, Kathy Irungu, political leader. Of course, let's come to you, Mheshimiwa. There is, of course, the issue of, you know, some of these regions have not had representation for such a long time. And I think we're so consumed and so much focused into you know, who's going to win, who's not going to win. But how do these people catch up? How do these leaders catch up, given that there's so little time before 2027 elections?
I think first I must say that there are those constituencies where their leaders died maybe immediately after the elections.
Right.
And you can imagine that the first 3 years they are never represented. Is a very sad state of affair. And this came because of the constitution of the IBC. Their time had elapsed. And if you remember well, is through the NADCO negotiations, that is how we now came to constitute the IBC. Initially, it was viewed as that it was skewed towards the government. They unilaterally picked the IBC commissioners. And I think we stood our foot down through the NADCO committee, which was chaired by one of the leading opposition figures now, Kalonzo Musyoka. And we were represented by the current CS of Energy. That time was the minority leader. And we brought in the criteria of recruitment of IBC. Of course, it is in the constitution, but it was being overlooked. Now, these areas which are not represented have undergone a bit of political torture. Right. Because they voted, and up to now, 3 years, nobody had been elected again. And this comes with a lot of heavy responsibilities in the hands of those who are going to be elected now. They will not even have time to settle. Because they only have 1 year to work, that is next year. The other year will be a campaign period. In fact, I really pity those who have contested now and have been elected. They will not convince the people on the ground that they had no time to work for them. Some would think that really they don't deserve. Yet, it's very difficult to do this job within 1 year. And the financial year, next financial year, when it begins, you might find that 2027, they will not release any money for these MPs at that time during the election. So these MPs will just work for 1 year. And you can imagine the kind of resources that they have used during this campaign. Whatever, any way you think about it, they cannot recover those resources. And the people will not understand that really they have no time to put their structures in place and work for them. And I think those areas, just not politically only, but even economically and otherwise, they will feel very, very unrepresented. But I want to say that it is not their mistake. This has been a mistake of the political processes within this country. We need to put certain measures that compel the executive to constitute IBC within a given time without extension. Right. You know, there are things that the IBC have not done. One, they have not created the boundaries. The review of the boundaries is a requirement for the IBC before any general election. Right. And you know, this one has not been done. So we need a legislation from now to see how this can be fast-tracked. They must be seen to carry out certain boundary review, whether it is constituency, whether it is wards, because this is a constitutional requirement that must be undertaken. Thank you,
Mheshimiwa. Just to cut you short, we're getting live pictures from Chwele Sub-County Hospital. We are seeing someone who has apparently been stabbed after allegations of voter rigging. We are told there are several people, just seeing one person at Chwele Sub-County Hospital, that is at Kabuchai, who has been stabbed after allegations of voter rigging. And of course, we have witnessed incidences of violence in other places, for instance, Kasipul. We will continue to monitor that situation. One person there who has been stabbed with a knife after allegations of voter rigging emerged there. He is admitted at Chwele Sub-County Hospital getting treatment, that is at Kabuchai. We will continue to give you more updates on that, and of course we want to continue to insist here that voters and everybody involved to keep peace until the very last minute of this process. Remember, the exercise will close at 5 p.m. and this is a process that commenced at 6 a.m. this morning in various polling centers. We continue to monitor everything that is going on. Let's come to you, Osido, as Mheshimiwa was making that point in terms of what needs to happen. What do you think needs to happen constitutionally? What amendments need to be made to give leeway? For instance, if there is a by-election, we don't need a fully constituted IEBC. How possible is that?
Very good question, Mombi. And you remember that this is a question that has actually been canvassed even up to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Because the Secretariat of the IEBC went for advisory, a Supreme Court advisory on the roles of the commissioners and also on the Secretariat.
Right.
And this was bordering on, of course, the by-elections, but also on the boundaries review, because the law on boundaries review indicates that every 10 to 12 years we need to review our boundaries, and that particular timeline lapsed last year in March, March 2024. And so the degree of disenfranchisement that therefore is associated with both the failure to demarcate boundaries, because we have legal requirements to that, and also the failure to get people to be represented because we do not have commissioners. Not that we don't have an IEBC, but that we have the commissioners. So it is important that the commission itself, being an independent commission, you know, in the chapter 15 of our constitution, also looks at mechanisms to make it easy to dispense its work. And I think that it is very unfortunate that again we are going into the next election without having reviewed our boundaries, as Mheshimiwa rightfully said. So the commission needs to think through, beyond these by-elections, how do we ensure that no Kenyan is left behind in terms of representation? Right. Because that borders on a number of issues, including the cost of the election. Because if, for example, you expect to demarcate certain constituencies, and we know around 24 plus of those constituencies that were earmarked for demarcation, against the requirement of the number of voters per polling center and per stream. Therefore, it also becomes incumbent upon the commission to begin to think through, you know, the future, also bringing in the aspects of, you know, digital voting and digital engagement in our electoral system. So many things, therefore, that even this particular, you know, processes will begin to inform us about. I think it was a good thing for the chairman and the commissioners to decide to undertake the by-elections, because I know that there were questions around the timelines, the cost of conducting the by-elections, but so that Kenyans do not feel disenfranchised, discouraged, and also they don't feel that they are misrepresented. It was a good, quite a bold move to go on with the by-elections, and I think that moving forward it is important for us to look at how to strengthen the gaps and lapses, particularly within the institution of the IEBC, so that the roles of the Secretariat and those responsibilities of the commissioners are also very clear. And I think that moving forward, and I've seen in some of their, you know, trainings and event sessions, they have also been looking at how to deal with the gaps that we saw in, you know, in the 2022 IEBC, where, for example, certain important communication is made when other commissioners are not there. And I think that it is therefore important that the commission also guides the country, because it is an independent electoral management commission. So bordering on the strengths of independent commissions in chapter 15 of our constitution, they have to engage with the National Assembly. And I think that Mumbi, part of the challenge has been our good friends here, because you know, we have lots of electoral laws that are still pending at the at the National Assembly. For example, campaign financing, laws to cap resources and amounts that are supposed to be spent by each of the electoral offices. And I think that therefore this interagency engagement that we've been talking about really needs to be cemented, because that's part of the challenges that IEBC has to go through. But if you allow me just to comment on something which I think Mheshimiwa spoke well about in terms of what these the leaders that are going to be elected, because I'm a passionate advocate of county governments. We want to see very active consultations and also engagements between these leaders who are going to be elected, particularly at the National Assembly level, engaging with their county governments, because they might not have the budgets to be able to execute some of the good promises which they were talking about and in their manifestos. But I think that the opportunity that they have is to collaborate with their county governments and county governors, so that part of the dreams and the aspirations that they have can find their way into the annual development plans of the CIDPs of the county governments. And that way, come 2027, it will be a good opportunity for them also to say that we promised this and we delivered this. I know it has not found traction in a number of areas, particularly in Lugu Nyanza areas, where if you bring in a senator into a room that has a governor, they already see each other as competitors, and MCAs don't want to sit with our good friends National Assembly reps, because they are already seeing each other as, I want to take your seat, I want to take your seat. But I think that the opportunity we have now will be a force for them, rather will force them to begin to think through how to innovate mechanisms to speak to each other, so that they find out how they can be able to address the promises.
Before we come to Kathy, Mheshimiwa, why do you as legislators delay to, pass crucial electoral laws? I mean,
in the National Assembly, everything is crucial. So it depends on what is put for us as in the House Business Committee. We have priorities on House Business Committees. So as legislators, we have members of the House Business Committee. So whatever they bring to us is whatever we pass. But you have seen that we have made it possible for the constitution of the IBC as the National Assembly. And we did it quite fast in the Assembly. But a few electoral laws, and it is a process to bring an amendment within the House. The process might not even take 1 year. It is a big process. It must come for the first reading. It must come for the second. We must have public participation. So many people might see that really the National Assembly is delaying, but it is the procedure that is a bit long. But what I'm saying is that some of these electoral laws need to be amended in the House. I think I'd pronounced myself on it. We need those amendments in the House so that they are fast-tracked. We have a way of fast-tracking these laws. But this is dependent on the willingness of cooperation among the three arms of the government, the judiciary, the executive, and the National Assembly. If we all come together as the three arms of the government and agree to fast-track some of these laws, sometimes we pass these laws, then when they reach the judiciary, they are stopped. So there must be serious...
So which arm is the biggest hurdle in passing some of these electoral laws?
Course,
is it the judiciary, executive, or legislature?
These arms normally operate independently. And sometimes what one arm of the government is willing to take can be a poison to another arm of the government. So you cannot specifically come out and say that the most hindrance or what prohibits some of these, the passing of these laws is this arm of the government. But as a member of the legislature, I think we need to fast-track some of these laws that govern that is in the IBC, and also the laws that govern the elections, the electoral laws, and those acts that will allow the electoral laws to be conducted peacefully and democratically within a given time frame. And also those laws that are archaic that hinders the smooth running of this election must also be obliterated. We must remove this kind of a kite clause in our system.
Okay.
We are still gagged by the colonial mentality that we inherited from our colonial masters. So we needed to review most of these electoral laws depending on the growth that we have seen in terms of both political and economic growth, so that it fits within the framework of operations of Kenyans as a whole. Okay. So I think I am not going to blame any arm of the of government.
We want to hear what
but I want to ask you,
as a leader, as a political leader.
There's one thing that I didn't ask, because you brought in the Gen Zs. You know, we believe in politics that those who do not vote contribute to the poor governance of our society. Even you, I don't know whether you have a voting card. So one time when we come back here, you need to flash your voting card, so that as we talk, we know that all of us contribute positively towards the governance of this country by voting and exercising your voting right.
As Mwalimu Mheshimiwa is putting you on the spot and Kathy is coming in, we also have to tell him that once we vote for you and we put our sovereignty and confidence, please deliver.
Yes.
You know, I have been...
No, you have delivered.
Okay. Kathy, as a leader, you know, you've observed the happenings in Parliament, especially this Parliament, 13th Parliament. It's come under scrutiny when it comes to passing these laws.
Debate is something that we can spend a whole day, discussing, because to me, I would actually say that we have a toothless parliament, without due respect to our friend here. I know the ODM representatives are quite vibrant. A majority of them are men and women of integrity. A good number of them are quite eloquent. They speak in parliament. I know there are some regions in this country where members of parliament do not say anything in parliament, apart from singing, and a few women will be seen doing other things here and there. And of course, men misbehave as well. So it's not only women who misbehave. But anyway, what am I trying to say? What I'm saying is the parliament that we have today is a parliament that is only answerable to the executive. In fact, one of the reasons why they do not pass laws or certain laws, or they will push certain agendas or certain bills on the floor of parliament so vigorously and viciously, it is only when that bill has a nod from the executive. And we saw that with the finance bill, where a majority of the members crabbed for it and said this is a very good bill, until the protest happened, and then the president said, oh no, wait a moment, and he pulled back, and then the members of parliament were seen around him laughing and giggling, and they were all happy. And I was wondering, you're the people who passed this thing. So that is our problem number one. Members of parliament must always remember that they are representatives of the people, not representatives of the executive. That is where the problem is.
I hope you didn't see me clapping.
No, I didn't see you. And then when you look at when you look at the political parties, you realize that most political parties in this country, especially the big ones, they really gag members of parliament. So that if you are not singing the song of your party leader, then you are actually declared persona non grata. And therefore it is a problem for the member of parliament, because you don't want problems with your party leader. Did you see what happened the other day when the president went to parliament to give us the State of the Nation address? I could not believe that I saw members of parliament shout two-term in parliament, really.
Mheshimiwa is looking at you. I don't know, he was
Mheshimiwa, did you do that? You know, I didn't see him. But what I'm saying, really, it is uncalled for. It is indecent. You know, those are campaign chants. Those are slogans. So that is not a house where you go to chant slogans and campaign for the president or for the other person. I mean, it's a serious house. I don't know where we lost the common decency, because at some point we had very good members of parliament who moved bills, who were very serious, respectable individuals. We are
still good.
Maybe some, let's say some are still good. And we will say some, because again we are not doing a blanket condemnation for everyone. But it is really a wake-up call for the members of parliament. Please prioritize the important things and the things that affect us directly, and especially the issue we are talking about, the delimitation and everything else. Let me tell you, you, some of these constituencies that we talk about, a place like Ruiru, with almost 200,000 voters, a place like Madera, where I come from, with almost 150,000 members of, voters, and Kibra, even Kibra is very big, you know. And when we talk about these things, we are talking about equal distribution of resources, and that is why I applaud the late Honorable Raila Odinga, and may his soul rest in peace. He had come very close to achieving this, you know, through the BBI. If you remember, the one man, one sharing, one vote was a good thing. But then the people in government today are the ones who came out and told us that it is not a good thing. And especially our people were mobilized from Mount Kenya, and they said, Hawakuragi, they didn't say Barabara, they said Hawakuragi Balabala.
Right. All right, Kathy. Okay. Of course, right now, from most regions, Mr. Osido, I don't know why I keep calling you Osodi.
You can use Kevin.
Or Kevin.
Yeah.
Most places are quite peaceful in terms of the process, the voting process. We've only seen but a few places where violence has taken place. But of course, once the voting process is over, the tallying commences, that's when, you know, sometimes you start to see chaos and all those sorts of things happening. And sometimes we have seen previously where agents are forced to move, you know, faced with the option of staying put, running for their lives. How do they go about this? And where does IEBC come in all of this?
Very good question again. Remember that other than the voters, everyone at the polling station is an agent or officer of the IEBC.
Right.
And that is why normally voters are told, if you have no business, the moment you cast your vote, please leave. I know that politicians and political parties like Mheshimiwa Mwalimu here have now turned it, that you have to stay and protect your vote.
Your vote.
Yeah, but now, protecting your vote is not your responsibility. But I know that, again, based on the experiences that Kenyans have gone through, that confidence and trust that the vote that I cast is going to be a credible one and that it will mean something is normally where the gap lies. So you can lie there, you can stay put, but believe you me, even up to the point of the counting, there is nothing much you can do, including when you know that the votes of your candidate have been stolen. And that is why sometimes IEBC normally invites the agents, they invite even the observers to come and check and see what is happening, so that the aspect of transparency, accountability and credibility of that particular vote counts for something. But in some places, the stakes become so high. And I think we can even tell from these by-elections, areas where the stakes have been so high.
Yes.
To a level where a National Assembly, very high-level leader will show up in an MCA, you know, vote and stay there and campaign and, you know, insist that I have to be part and parcel of it because of the stakes. But even in that kind of title that you have, up to the point of counting the vote and announcing the winner, you have zero responsibility. And Mumbi, that is where sometimes in our Kenyan elections, the chaos begin to erupt. And hence the reason why we are still insisting upon IEBC. And probably the media and yourself would be gracious enough to help us check with your reporters and your your men and women on the ground, whether commissioners are commenting on what is happening. I saw earlier on in Berry North, one of the commissioners was actually commenting on the happenings there.
Right.
But this communication has to be consistent so that the earlier you address the issues that might affect the announcement of the results and the ultimate passage of the certificate to the winner in the evening, then are dealt with right now. So the people who are watching us and listening might not know that there is a lot that is happening.
Right.
But it is correct to imagine that the commission is on top of the game, that they have trained their officers very well, the presiding officers, the returning officers, and that they know what is expected to happen. The challenge normally, as I said, is that you wait so late until when the issues have compiled, that even within the polling station, even as the voting is going on, you can still address certain issues. And it reminds me, as I finish, of one story at the Supreme Court, where the judge was asking one wakili, a good friend, you are given 6 ballots, okay, and you want to cast one. Where do these other 5 go to? If IEBC becomes bold to address those kind of issues, because that is how your presence matters at the polling station, that you've given me 6 ballots, but I only want to vote for Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Where does the MCA vote that you gave me go to? You know, those are issues that if IEBC deals with them at the point of, you know, the polling station, they don't have to end up at the Supreme Court. But sometimes we assume so much, and then citizens become angry. The people who are still waiting and protecting their votes become angry. That is where they start kicking the ballot papers and the ballot boxes, and they say, we have been telling you this, you are not listening to us, who do you think you are? And then some of them begin to what? Run away. But if we can boldly agree as a country and as a people that we want to make Kenya a better place, then there is no need to assume. Even the person who says, hiyo tiki yenye ameweka iko tu sawa, explain to them that if it is a vote and you have passed the line, we look at the intention of the voter. And I know this, Mumbi, because I've gone through part of the trainings for IEBC as an observer. But the challenge that we normally tell the commission is failure to communicate. But again, you see the commissioners and the officials also sometimes are afraid that what if the things I am saying, the people here, like I imagine the people in Mbere, the IEBC officials in Mbere might be very disturbed. How do we communicate? How do we say it? Because there is a crowd out there. There are high-level politicians, and even in Kasipul, where already we are seeing blood, you know. So they must be urged to constantly and consistently communicate anything that might make people, you know, discredit the election and think that maybe there is rigging that is taking place.
Mheshimiwa, of course, we have seen the IEBC kind of let some things slide so far. And of course, this might come with, you know, court petitions and all that. We've witnessed, you know, for instance, in Bere, when Chinga MCA was wearing his party clothes and all that. So, you know, Kevin has just said that maybe some of these IBC officers are afraid, you know, there are waheshimiwas there, how do they address, how do they communicate? And now this puts in question their independence. Is IBC truly independent?
I think you have just said it rightly, that there are certain electoral laws that when they are violated can be dealt with instantly. Like now putting on the party colors.
Yes.
It is an election offense that during the nominations or during the voting day, nobody should put on the party colors. It is not allowed, and I think they should be able to deal with that MCA accordingly. And I don't think an accidental situation of an incident is enough to say that they are not independent. That is just one instance. There are many, many instances, and there are many, many moments that can be used to judge the independence of the commission. One of them is whether the logistics that they did, were they independent? Did they transport, did they take the votes without interference to the voting and voting places? Did they keep those votes in a safe place? Did other candidates access the voting materials before they are opened? When did they open the polling station? Are there areas that are favored that were opened at 6, others have been opened at 1? So we are saying there are many, many criteria that we use to judge the independence of the Electoral Commission. And did they announce the right candidates, or they arbitrarily announce somebody who the system maybe told them to announce? So all this, when we put them together, then we can now be in a position to judge whether this electoral IBC is independent or not. So we are saying that for this one, let us wait and see those instances where we can pinpoint that this commission is biased towards other candidates. And the result, when you look at a system, when the system is working 80%, then we can qualify that one to say that this system is working. But when it is at maybe 55 and 60, that is a system that might collapse any time. So we want to see the parameters that we can use to determine the flexibility and also the competence of this IEBC. Then we can bring a judgment and say that this IEBC is completely biased and not independent. But let us look at it when we announce the results of today. Let us see whether they have done their work according to the required regulation and the constitutional requirements. And from there now, we can come back here and ask us, did this IEBC perform its work as independent as is expected?
And maybe just to add something little to that, you know, I've just seen a video that has been sent to me right now by someone who is in Malava. And the Mheshimiwa former Senator Malala is actually donning the DCP kofias. And not just him, but they are actually a team, and they are confronting some IEBC officials. You see, two wrongs don't make a right. And then the other thing that we need to remember, we should not have sacred cows in this exercise. So if it is wrong for the UDA agent to wear yellow, whatever he was wearing, Mheshimiwa Kiroga Duku, who is actually from Nyeri like myself, then it is also wrong for the DCP people on the other side to wear green. So let's not make a fuss out of very small issues. It was a coincidence, it happened, it was wrong because it must be condemned, it should never be allowed, but then we must highlight in all the areas. Let's not make Kiroga Duku a subject in Bere as if he's the one who is running for the Member of Parliament. Yeah, that is, I think for me, that is an observation I've made, and it is very important for me to pronounce myself on it. Yes.
And just to add on to that, Mumbi, it's important what Mheshimiwa Kathy is saying, because in the same note that we do not expect people who are gallivanters around the polling station, so is with other politicians. If you have no business being in the voting area, please leave, because even for agents, they have to be credited. And you saw Mheshimiwa Kaluma showing his tag. You have to be, you must have an, a responsibility and a right which is given to you by the commission as an accredited official. So if you are donning your cap to go and have coffee somewhere close to the polling station or the voting area, please have your coffee and leave, or remove the coffee. In fact, that particular regulation says that you are not supposed to be seen 400 meters around
the polling station.
I think it's regulation 12 or 72 of the elections
code of regulation.
Electoral code of conduct. 400 meters. And so in the same manner that we are talking about Mbere is the same manner that we should also be able to talk about. And the most disheartening thing is that the people who behave like this have not interacted with the commission. But we don't expect that an elected official has not interacted with the commission, because as you go in as a cleared candidate, there are basic training sessions, isn't it, Kathy, that you are taking through?
And to support your point, you see what happens, and I'm glad that I've been able to participate in two elections myself, although I was not elected. In every election, there will be a winner and a loser. That's obvious. All of us, we are not going to have two members of parliament for Malava. We are not going to have two members of parliament for Mbere North or these other places, including Magarini. So what needs to happen? You know, integrity means that you accept, and you don't have to cause mayhem and chaos, because maybe you're looking at the ground and you cannot believe what is happening on the ground. Start believing. You know, it's part of the healing process.
We must be good losers.
We must be good losers.
So are you saying, Kadi, the reason why the United Opposition yesterday, came out and called a press conference and made all this allegation is because they foresaw?
Can I tell you what happens in all elections? And I've lost two. I've lost the woman rep election for Nyeri, and I lost the parliamentarian seat for Madeira constituency to one Rigathi Gachagua. Every loser, every election loser, number one of the things that hit them very quickly is denial. So they will say, no, I didn't lose. Mimi kura zangu hazikutosha, hapana nilibiwa. You hear all these things. So let's spare the public drama. let's highlight the real issues if they are there. Like now the issue of Kiroga, you know, dressing inappropriately. That's a real issue.
Right.
It is an irregularity. Let's pick those ones. But these are the issues, imaginary issues. Because even, by the way, for sure, why would Muturi, JB, my friend, rush, you know, and go grab that young boy, very small boy. In fact, thank God that he was able to run away for his dear life, because I'm sure he was going to get a punch. Yeah. So all these things, why are we doing them? Why all these drama?
I really want to get Mheshimiwa's comments on this. I'm sure you saw that scenario whereby, you know, former Attorney General,
he grabbed that young man.
Grabbed that young man, and there was an altercation there. I didn't give you a chance to make a comment on that. What do you make up all that? I mean, the level of his...
First and foremost, when he was the Attorney General, I remember very few legislations or anything that he made at that time. And if you ask Kenyans, 90% of us will never say whether he was Attorney General or not, because he was subdued. His character, he was subdued. And when he wants to make a political mountain out of a very small thing, it is not just bad, but I can say that it is not necessary. Because we have, he is an honor, he's the honor, he has a legal mind, and a serious legal mind, because I know him. And therefore, he knows the repercussions of what he was doing. In fact, that was an incitement, an assault, just to say the least, and would have created mayhem where it is not necessary. So I think his action leaves a lot to be desired. And being that he's a senior member of the bench, he is one of those people that we respect. He was also the Speaker of the National Assembly, the third highest ranked person in this country in terms of governance. And he must not bring himself down to those simplicities to gain political mileage where it is not necessary. Let us allow the IEBC to do their work, and let us allow them to be independent, and let them allow them to work. So I just want to say that it was a very, very unfortunate incident that senior leaders like my friend J.B. Muturi should not have engaged in.
But again, just to add to what Mwalimu is saying, Mumbi, I think I was very impressed about how the public, and whether or not they were agents or officials of various candidates, the demeanor that they had, you know, they were able to hold on and ensure that everyone behaves honorably.
Especially one woman.
Yes.
There's one lady who got in between them and separated
said, no,
them. And that was very good. And maybe that is why we need to elect more women to parliament. It is also unfortunate that in all these contests, I've not seen a lady. You know, when we talk about the two horse races, like Mheshimiwa is saying, I've not seen a lady who is leading. You know, when you talk about all these constituencies, wards, and even county, in the case of Baringo, I've not seen.
But I think there is a county that you really need to talk about. Like Homa Bay County is dominated by women.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, that's
elected,
right,
not nominated.
You're right on that.
Yeah, elected.
Yeah.
And Nakuru is a
it's a women dominated.
Yeah.
And even in these by-elections, we have two
Right.
ladies who are running. I think one is Lillian from Ugunja, and another lady I think is in the one in Mombasa. Magarini. I think, we have two ladies.
I think people need to copy the men from Homa Bay because they really respect their women and can give them leadership.
Really good. Okay.
So we needed to copy even here in Nairobi.
In Nairobi.
Yeah, we did.
All right, Kevin.
Yes, please.
Coming to you, they say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And, you know, Kadi has extensively talked about, you know, if they're opposing this, DCP or the United Opposition, then, you know, this should not also be acceptable when they do it. And of course, yesterday during the press conference that the United Opposition made, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua said and asked the people of Mbeere North, you know, at Siakago polling center, if I am not mistaken, to camp there once they cast their votes. What do you make of such statements when, you know, that is clearly contravening the Constitution? What do you make of that?
Of course, it is irresponsible. It is an honor. It is dishonorable. It is not supposed to happen. And Mheshimiwa Rigiji knows that those people he's asking to hang around have no responsibility. Those are the people that ultimately, you know, you would want to see either jubilation or the cries. And that when things go wrong, as a party leader and an interested party, you now begin to look for people to play in your dishonor, and you want to look for people that you can easily mobilize. The prayer and the cry is that if you have no business being in the electoral space in that particular area, please cast your vote and go. And if you want to wait for the votes and to celebrate, depending on what happens, do it 400 meters away from where all these things are happening. Reminds me of sometimes now there's a big conversation, Mumbi, to disband the National Tallying Center. And normally you see what happens, especially during our the general elections, where people like Mwalimu here will be very humbled, you know, to be in Kibra and just sit there and wait for, you know, the votes to be cast, then to be counted, etc. The moment they say, Mheshimiwa Orero, winner for Kibra, he wants to get the next chopper to Boomers. Why are you coming there? To do what? So that what? To
keep vigil.
In case something changes.
In case something changes, irregularly changes.
Yes, it is these vigilantes, quote unquote, and the vigilance of people like these hangabouts and hangarounds that normally creates tension, because things are going on well. How come the moment you arrive, that is when we realize, oh, the returning officer for 24 areas have not arrived. Don't you know that they know that they're supposed to arrive? Did we really have to wait for you to show up for us to know? So I think that moving forward, Mumbi, it is important that the voters know that we have given the responsibility to the commission, and that every candidate, whether or not you really need agents, I think is another conversation that was canvassed at the Supreme Court. But only the accredited officials, whether it is the agents, whether it is the support team, especially for the persons with disabilities, who now, you know, interpret and help them to vote.
You know, if I were a woman, I would have known how you people feel before giving birth. That is how we feel during that election. But because I'm not, maybe I would not compare the two. But I want to tell my friend that election is not an easy event. And the politicians, especially when you have won, the relief that you get is like where you are born again. And I think it is your cardinal duty.
Amen to that. All right, we're out of time, but I do want to give you all a chance to give your final remarks. Let's start with the lady, of course, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mumbi. So first of all, thank you for having us. For me, I want to speak as a woman, as a leader, and as a mother. And I want to remind the people who are involved in this general election, and even us who are not really participating in terms of voting, that it is very important for us to maintain peace. When violence and violent acts happen, like we have observed, you know, the stories that we have watched, it is the women and the children who suffer most. So please, let's maintain peace. This is a one-day affair, and at the end of the day, we'll get the winner for all these respective whatever positions. And therefore, let peace prevail. We'll have a winner at the end of the day. The rest of the things will follow after that.
Thank you, Kathy. Kevin?
Mine is a call to all the candidates. There are 181 of them across the country. You win, engage with the others. You lose, engage with the others. 18 months to come, you will still want to go back to the ballot. How you carry yourself post the winning or post the losing is very important, particularly to the people that you're engaging with. Last but not least is that regardless of the outcome of these particular by-elections, let peace prevail, let peace win, let Kenya remain strong, standing tall in the region.
All right, Hashimiwa, final remarks?
Yeah, I just want to say that those who have not voted now, we allow them to vote peacefully. The security agents to ensure that we have a conducive environment for the voters to exercise their democratic right, so that Kenyans can get the leaders that they desire to have, who can articulate their messages. But I also want to say again that as a representative of Kibra, I want to restate that Kibra is very peaceful, and I don't think the goons purported to have gone to Kasipul are from Kibra,
Okay.
because we are a peaceful constituency, and I want to wish my constituents the best of luck as they continue maintaining peace. Of course, please just allow me to wish the ODM candidates well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manshimi, Member of Parliament for Kibra Peter Orero, and of course Kevin Osido, Executive Director, County Governance Watch, and of course Kathy Irongo, who is a political leader and a member of the Jubilee Party. Yes. Thank you so much for being here with us, lady and gentlemen. Asanteni sana. And we continue to monitor everything that is going on in various regions where the by-elections are going on. 15 wards, 6 constituencies, and 1 county. That is the senatorial bid in Baringo County. We will continue talking to our reporters who are on the ground to inform us the latest, how the voting process is going on. It's about 7 hours now since voting commenced. Of course, we will keep you updated on everything that is going on. Keep it here on K24TV as well as K24. My name is Mumbi Chege. I'll be back in just a moment.
Our shared experience.
Get Africa's best entertainment anytime, anywhere, and now for even less.
Here's what we're here for, duh.
With DSTV Stream and Safaricom Home Fiber.
Wow.
Just dial *400# then 0 to choose this DSTV offer. Select your Safaricom Home Fiber account and the DSTV Stream package you want, now at a discounted price. Then select your Home Fiber plan